Hello, everyone! I am Krooked, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted look at games and give them a 1 through 10 rating. Today, we are taking a look at The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Much like Mega Man X, this is one of my favorite games of all time, so I might be a little bit biased for it. In overall order, this is the third Zelda game that came out. It came out before Link's Awakening, and it kind of did something new for the series that Zelda and Zelda 2 didn't really do. It has the same top-down perspective that Zelda had, but it kind of introduces a bit more of a linear story where you're not going to be kind of just lost finding things out on your own, but at the same time, you will be. So it does have a set order for things that you need to go in, whereas the original Zelda, you don't have to. However, it only holds your hand a little bit. Not all the game is that way, and it basically did it to say, hey, for you people who don't want to explore absolutely every last little bit of thing that you can do, you can go in and you can still get the full experience and know where to go. Or if you take some time off of the game, you can come back to it later and know what you're doing. So, game starts off, with you being told, hey, I'm a princess, I'm trapped in a castle, blah, 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 and you wake up from a dream, and then your uncle is there and goes, hey, I gotta go, bye. So, you leave, the game forces you to go to the castle. You can try to go to other areas, but this is where it kind of forces you to do things. And as you go to the castle, as you saw, Link's uncle dies. You never hear from him again. And then that's it. That's all the information you get. So you have to break through the castle and get through all the guards and go rescue Princess Zelda. Seems pretty easy. It's a formula that we all know today, right? Go. Ganondorf has kidnapped Zelda in some way, shape, or form. Link has to save her, and Zelda. That's what we're all used to. But back in the day, this was still a pretty unique thing where, it was kind of that way in Zelda and Zelda 2, but Zelda was more about getting the Triforce. Zelda 2, I don't really remember as much because I haven't played through it. Seems like a game that we might need to take a look at, huh? So, you're rescuing Zelda. That's what this all starts with. And it already has a ton of exploration for you to go through. I'm pretty good at this, so I'm going to go through the dungeon pretty quick and kind of get to the end of it all. In terms of graphics, this game looks great. The tile sets that they use is really, really clean. You'll see as I go through all the areas that there's a bunch of different tile sets that they use, and all of them look just as good as the other ones. There's no areas where you're really confused about what you have to do, what objects are and aren't actually there, which ones you can and can't interact with. It's very clear to see where you're at and where hints and things are. That's really clear too. The enemy designs are really, really good. Every enemy looks unique, even the recolors, and it's just really pleasant to look at. With the kind of cartoonized looks in this game, I really appreciate that they put a dark outline around all of the characters because it makes it pop just a little bit more, kind of like a drop shadow on text will, where it's just like, hey, these are things that aren't normal. If you look at like the other objects, they kind of have a gray border around them, but the characters like Link have kind of a black border, which it just makes them pop a little bit more. It's almost like the picture book style in Paper Mario, but not as extreme. So I really like that, and I think it looks really, really good. In terms of sound, Zelda games are known for sounding fantastic. Find a Zelda game that doesn't sound absolutely stellar, and I will challenge you to a duel because they all sound really good. This one even introduces a lot of the sounds that we hear in modern games and with modern sounds of Zelda. So I have to give it props for that as well. It also has very unique sounds. When you get a rupee, it sounds like a rupee. When you get a heart, it sounds like a heart. The one downside I have to say about this, which you'll probably hear as I'm exiting, is when you're at low enough health, it starts beeping. And it starts beeping in a way that's really, really annoying. Luckily, you can solve that basically by killing anything and getting a heart, or using a fairy, or using a potion, or insert method here to heal yourself. However, until you heal yourself, it is the most annoying sound on the planet. And it doesn't stop. It just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. If you thought Navi was bad, however you pronounce it, in Ocarina of Time, this is worse. But it's not enough to subtract anything from the game itself, because, man, it's still just an absolute blast of a time. So after you rescue Zelda, she basically goes, hey, there's this hidden passageway that you need to take me to in the castle. So let's go to the throne room, and then you get here, you go to the throne room, and you can basically ignore all these guys. You don't have to fight them. They'll run at you, but they can't follow you upstairs. And you get here, and you have to push to the side and escape. So you get in, and this is the escape from the castle. So this is where I get into telling you that you'll probably hear the sound, because you have to break out of the castle, and there's, little mice and bats and stuff that you have to escape from, which it sets the theme really well. Since we're going through all this, the controls for this game are really simple. You can use your items. You can only equip one item at a time. Your sword is linked to B, and then A gives you the ability to dash later on. X brings up your map, if I remember right. Yeah. And L and R don't really do anything. It'd be nice if they implemented a feature so that you could switch through weapons with it, but yeah, it doesn't really do much. So once you break out of the dungeon, that's when this game actually starts. Until then, it's all still just tutorial time. And once you do break out, it kind of gives you a much weaker hint of where to go. It's not as linear. There you go. There's the beeping. I told you I'd get to it, and this is what you hear the entire time if you're at low health. It is so annoying. But usually, if you're not incredibly unlucky, you can find a heart, and it'll go away. So you don't have to worry about it too long. So yeah, once you get out, you get to Sanctuary, where the old man tells you, hey, I will protect Zelda. You need to go over here and get this item or talk to this person, and they'll tell you what to do next. So you go, you do that, and that's kind of what your quest does. You get told, hey, you need to go to this location and do this thing. And it has the Zelda formula, where you go to an area, you pick up an item, and you go to the next area and repeat. And the item that you pick up in a dungeon is usually something that's going to help you defeat the boss of that dungeon. There are other ways to beat the enemies in dungeons, but that's usually the easiest way. There's a lot of puzzles like this. There's heart pieces everywhere to collect. And this game kind of set what the modern day standard of Zelda before Breath of the Wild was. Well, its basic path was set by Zelda and Zelda 2. The overall way that Ocarina and Twilight Princess and everything else works is based off of Link to the Past. So this is kind of, Zelda's the granddaddy of modern adventure RPGs. Link to the Past is kind of the daddy of modern action RPGs. That sounds really awful. So, in here, you know, you get a piece of heart. Yay! Life's restored. You leave here, and boom, here we go. Starting the actual world where now you are in Hyrule, and let's go. So for Zelda, Link to the Past, again, like Mega Man X, I think this is a game where if you play it, even if you've never liked Zelda before, or if you've never experienced it, this is going to be a game where you really enjoy it, and you're going to be able to really get enjoyment out of it no matter what. The side of it, though, that people may not enjoy is it is kind of slow. There's a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot of opportunity to get lost in the game. While I would call it a perfect game, I can't. Because it does have some flaws, and some things are just really, really bad. Some of the bosses are really difficult to fight, and some of the things are just not ever explained to the player. When you look at your map, there's times where there will be like an X over a house of where you're supposed to go to. The problem is that doesn't always update all the time. And while there are a lot of secrets in this game, some of them you will probably never find unless you have someone to tell you, or you look at a guide to tell you what you have to do. So for Zelda Link to the Past, even though it's my favorite Zelda game ever, I'm going to have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I love it. I think it's a great game, but I don't think everyone will enjoy it. If you play it, you're going to enjoy it for a little bit, but you may not want to finish it. And that's really why it's not perfect. But I do love this game. And if you like this game or any of the other Zelda games, go ahead and like this video. Hit the subscribe button so that way you never miss out on an episode of Unscripted. Don't forget to hit that bell so that way you'll be notified whenever a new episode comes out. And if you really want to support the channel a bit more, go ahead and check out the Patreon and link in the description down below. That's where the link is. I can't talk. And with all that being said, thank you for watching Unscripted, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye!